Hello, crypto media friends. Can you hear me? Here we are with the overtime show, and just wanted to go over, a lot of what's going on with Twitter, a lot of the FUD that's coming down on the altcoins. But there are some that are surviving because I think a lot of people see past the FUD into the value, and so I was looking at just a sea of red, the past couple days, and so I kept seeing like a little glint of green, and I was like, what is that? And it was Lux, and it was Osmo, and it was Atom, and it was a lot of the projects that I recommend here on the show. And again, this isn't a financial advice show. This is just me like looking at really cool projects, saying like, wow, this stuff is working in the space. And I think a lot of people in this space also believe like, oh, we're going to be the unicorns. We are the ones that have this amazing ability to be the next. We're the Twitter of blockchain. We're the Facebook of blockchain. No, that takes so long to develop. Look at the graveyards of Web 2.0. The AOL pits of mass graveyards, just like of email accounts. And so you have this the desire for a lot of projects to be like, oh, we're the social within blockchain. But what I think Twitter is doing masterfully is they're going to bring social to the blockchain, or vice versa. They're bringing blockchain to social, to Web 2, where the audience already is, and they're going to marry that with some real innovation of looking at the Bitcoin network is just this massive network that doesn't have smart contracts, that doesn't have this sort of this way to build upon it. And if they can be, and I want to coin this term here, a layer 2 for Bitcoin, if they can be a Twitter layer 2, they can utilize this massive network of miners, and this is kind of where I came from, starting as a Bitcoin miner, and I saw the waste, and I was just like, this is not good for the environment. And you want to try and put, and I'm just like, my little miner is generating so much heat, I was just sweating it out. I was like, I can't even run this during the summer here in Los Angeles. But imagine a farm, that they have these massive farms. I was like, this is taking up as much as a city, and that's not good. And so that's kind of why I ended up stopping. But when you look at sort of these utilization of Bitcoin, I was an early adopter into Sovereign, and it's there. Everyone's trying to develop that idea of layer 2, and I think that Jack Dorsey, being the smartest dude in the room, quite often has the leverage to do this. He can employ Square's Cash App, and I didn't know he owned GoFundMe, but certainly Square and having sort of this traditional cashless system leverage on top of Bitcoin, and also utilizing the Lightning Network, which is a proper layer 2, so that you can kind of like get all of the transactions into a bulk, instead of doing just like one. Like I would I would send like Bitcoin to a wallet, and then like, oh, I sent too much, and then like send it back, and be scared the entire time I was doing it, like be like petrified for a half hour. But I was just like, that was probably as much as somebody's life support system for like a week or something, that I just blew sending errant transactions in Bitcoin because it used so much energy. But I think that this ability to leverage things, it's just a really phenomenal use of Twitter. And Twitter already is in this bromance with NFTs, and it's kind of why I even just started a Twitter account again. I was really, honestly, I was off Twitter, and so there's a little button that you can push. Best believe I'm going to get one of those. And so it allows the use of this massive network, and you place Twitter, which is already a massively successful social media platform. And I think this is just such a smart idea. They're also going to try and authenticate NFTs, which to some degree I think is nascent. I don't know if they have this ability fully, because this is the statement. Look at this statement. By allowing people to connect with their Bitcoin wallets, they can track and showcase their NFT ownerships on Twitter. It's like, okay, like I think Esther Crawford hopefully is misquoted, or she's just very misguided as to what an NFT is, like, and what network that is on, because they're not on Bitcoin, and they're on these the things that I was telling you about Tezos and like all these other altcoin projects that were weathering the storm, because people see the ability of it to expand NFT usage, Solana, etc. But to do it on Bitcoin, maybe that's too far of a forward-looking project for Esther there. But I think that's ostensibly they want to try and verify it, by doing the little check mark, much like they would have on a name. And so that's fun, and I think that gives some usage to this ability to take Twitter layer and put it on top of Bitcoin, and that's going to be really, really powerful. And so I think they're going to do fantastically well. And so let's jump into that's the thing, is just getting into these sort of coins, and these altcoins sort of allowed me to sort of see over this storm. You're like, okay, what is working? What is working? What's not working? In terms of like seeing that flood of red, when you open CoinGecko, and then seeing those glints of green. I'm like, well, these are the ones I've been recommending on the show. This is not that type of show. I'm not here to give you financial advice, but I'm giving you the insight as to what projects I think have utility in this very cool way, like Lux, like Osmo, like Atom, and those are the ones that were still green, like Veracity. And so, this is because they're, especially Veracity, and I think Lux to some degree, they're leveraging both, what exists and blockchain, and they're marrying them well. So instead of saying like, oh, hey, we're going to be the next YouTube here on blockchain, nobody knows your name, and you're begging Katy Perry to do your NFTs. No dig. I think that's a great project. But Veracity is a fantastic project that allows existing social media platforms like YouTube to add that layer of blockchain with a patent, by the way, that Veracity has, and which makes it such an interesting play within gaming, within social media, which is why I think this project is just so overlooked, because it's actually being used now, and the use case for it is, it's like Akash, it's like Filecoin. You're just like, yeah, you need these projects to to build upon blockchain. And so in terms of valuation, check them out. And again, this is not that type of show typically, but it's interesting to see, when I'm saying the utility, that it's actually weathering this FUD storm in terms of value. Warriors of Aradena. Okay, check me out on Minty Fresh Gas is my handle now on Twitter. I'm sticking with it. And so please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification here in YouTube. And you could be my 100th subscriber. I think I'm just about to hit there. Thank you guys very much as well. I really appreciate everyone, their nice messages of support, and love chatting with you guys in the comments section. I'm just so digging the ability that I'm going to get to go to the Wicked Craniums meetup tomorrow in real life, and I think that's part of what I love about this space, is like the idea of over quarantine we were talking about like, oh gosh, doing meetups, and then now it's kind of here, and I know we have Delta sort of hanging over our head, but if we can do things safely and in the right way, we can still have these in real life meetups. This is, I love Comic-Con. If you like Comic-Con, please like, subscribe, because you're my people. I'm so old school in Comic-Con. I used to have 4 badges free every year. That's how old school I was, because nobody was there back then. It was way before Jack Black played, previous to Kong. This is way before. This is like Mew, Stan Lee, Ray Harryhausen. It's like you're just sitting in a circle, ballroom 22, shooting the crap. Back in the day. Sadly, once I had kids, ironically, that they took those away because I wasn't able to make it a year, and then they cut the grandfathering after 1 year. But anyway, this is what I love. I love the ability to interact, the conventions. So I'm hoping for some great interaction when I see you guys out there at the cons and at the in real life things. And so the in real life friend of mine, thank you recommended Warriors of Aradena. She was, check it out. And so I did, and I was just like, this is super cool. Their website is down, but they have already 21,000 followers. This is a relatively new project. Look, it's not Mechaverse, which has 100,000, but this ain't bad. 21,000. This is pretty good. And for medieval fantasy gaming, I'm in. So I was like, let me check this thing out. And it's play to earn, so it's got some tokenomics associated with ownership. And it does have, if you look at sort of the battlescape here, they want to train, battle, and earn. So you can train and earn, which I thought was interesting. And so you kind of look at some of the gaming NFTs and having their traits embedded into the NFT, and it's like, well, what if you could improve that, by training your NFT, in a sense, your character. And so I was like, okay. And then I saw the floor price came up from 0.04 to 0.08. It doubled in like a few days. And then they're going to drop a warrior holder will be dropped. One woman warrior. It sounds very like betrothed. For each warrior they hold in their near future. That aside, snapshot is yet to be taken, so you could be dropped a woman warrior, which, because of the holders, let's see, per warrior, for each warrior. Okay, so there will be 8,000. So I think that's great utility immediately. This is still a very young project, and already they're looking. And if you look at the battlescape, you can see it looks like different types of characters. Certainly some female, and then that doesn't look like an orc. That's just like a buff dude in a horn helmet, I think. But it's certainly, I think, a strategy game. I think is what they're going for eventually. Quasi, it was explained to me, it was a bit like chess, where you have different skill players on your team, and you can move different ways with them, and they can battle different ways. And so, yeah, that was exciting. Funny enough, I was playing with some of the Vogu people. We played Pictionary. So yeah, it was like this online Pictionary thing. That was fun. It's like, that's the thing, is just like, at its basic level, games with people, games with friends, games with people of common interest have such great value. That was like a blast. It was like the nerdiest thing to do, but it was a blast hanging out with people I know on Vogu. We're in the Discords together, and we're playing, Pictionary. So Warriors of Aradena. Let me see if I can better showcase this for you. So you can see there is a big spike up there where the floor really, really, really jumped. It's come down a bit, but I think you look at sort of, the number of sales, it's quite brisk. Just kind of popping back up since it's released. I guess this is in August, but it gives you a sense visually of kind of what they look like. Now this is the floor, so these are the pretty common ones. But it does have its own style, and it doesn't look like, I don't know, it has a nostalgic feel to it that appealed to me, and so I definitely checked it out. And you get kind of drawn into, this is what I love. I was thinking I was gonna get this guy exactly. I love the guy who's holding the fallen dude's head in the NFT. It just cracked me up. But that's a rarity, right? That's something that, like, it's a family of rarity that you can buy into, and then it'll have its own floor. And so I went with, for me, again, it's always about what they're wearing, I guess. Maybe it's just like an easy one to sort of identify with. But the head one was definitely one I fancied. And so, you can kind of tell, like, okay, this one should be a wizard, and like, look at the purple stuff on their thing. Oh, that's enchanted, right? That's got to be enchanted. And you go to the things here, and you're like, okay. What's also cool is, like, look, it has 46 views and 2 favorites. Now, sometimes projects, when they're like a month in, have like 10 views or something. It's a fair amount of views, and so you got people scrolling through these looking for traits, and I think that that's very awesome because so you can see these traits here: agility, attack, defense, intelligence, magic. Does anybody know what they are? Not yet. What it means to the game. But I think you can kind of leverage into and see some value in ones that have one or the other. If you're, just into fantasy gaming, you're like, yes, of course, I want to have, one person who's really good at defense, and we're going to have a person over there who's just melees, and, and then range attacker, and then magic. So, just in terms of general fantasy gaming, you kind of understand the landscape, and it breaks it down for you in terms of like the typification of warriors and battles, and so. So yeah, it had a fun range and a very interesting look. And it's funny because there was you see these silvers. That same friend was telling me that somebody was buying up all the silver backgrounds for some reason. They think that there's an additional value in there. I was like, who is that? Morphe E? So we check out their wallet really quick. They're just big into this game. Look at that. They got a lot of these great epic ones, because you go to rarity tools and you can kind of find the different classes, and so there's heroic, legendary, and mighty. Everybody's pretty much mighty, but there's heroic and then there's legendary. I didn't find too many differentiations in the class equaling that much greater of 1.55 ETH. Hey guys, you might want to get on that one. Equaling too many advantages, honestly. I mean, there's a lot of imbued enchanted things at this level, but in terms of the actual scores, I was surprised they weren't too much higher. I mean, if you get that 1.55, I think you're probably gonna be kicking some butt in this game. But I also noticed there's a lot of holders in this, and that's pretty awesome to see. You have a lot of people who are just not selling. And so this is what I got this is the guy I got right there. It was just kind of funny to me that, like, if you guys watched the previous show, my Wicked Cranium has sort of the regal outfit, and this just looked like my guy before, and then, my Wicked Cranium was the after life of this guy. And so I ended up going here with 577 Warrior 4035. And it just happens to be a 577 rarity, and it's quite good. And so let me show you the when you look at rarity tools. So you give yourself, like I said, little mini families or mini sort of rarities. So the Royal Robe, there's only 73 of the Royal Robe. To me, that always stands out. That's why I have the the sort of the Royal Robe for the Cranium guy. That's why I have like the my Vogu has the Hawaiian shirt. They're very unique and they stand out like immediately. You know what sort of family that belongs to. This just happens to also have this enchanted sword. There's like 23 of those, so that's why it has such a high rarity ranking. But then I started like obsessing over the stats, because in the stats, because I think the rest are just like I got peasant teeth, keeping it within the times, I guess. But you have like these other rarities, and I was like, not too rare. The other things aren't super rare, but the hood 4%, 5%. These aren't like massive rarities. But then I was just like, oh, look at this, the agility and the attack, of the 60, we got 44 and 44, and then defense, not so good. I'm going to have to get some armor. Maybe I can buy some armor. Intelligence, I don't know, can you go to school in these times in this game? But halfway there, not too many characters were much higher than that, actually. There wasn't like a 50 or anything. I think there were very few 50s of. And those were, a part of quite rare of a breed. And they had a little bit of magic. A lot of characters that were good at attack didn't have any magic. And so you get caught up and you start like really falling into like, the potential of these, because again, if this type of gaming, you start like, this is always my go-to. I'm always agility and attack. Like, I mean, ever since, even World of Warcraft. Like, it's just like that sort of that type. I didn't want to be the oh gosh, I'm losing the name. Like, I didn't want to be a tank, but I wanted to be what's that character? Comes in there and like slashes and then runs away with the high agility. Anywho, that's just kind of my style of gaming, and so I was able to accommodate for that, knowing the space. And so I think Warriors of Aradena is a fun concept. It's very interesting to see how it's going to play out in terms of its gameplay. But I'll share the website when it comes back live. But I was impressed by what I saw early with the website, and the concept of bringing this into the gaming space, because it does become more strategy and more of a game that I think people can jump into quite quickly, much like the Pictionary. Like, I was like, oh, what do we do? We do a picture, and then like you type the guess. Okay, cool, and like people can kind of jump in quite quick. And so if you have something along the lines of that, and on top of that, you play to earn. It's an interesting prospect, and it's, again, giving valuation. It's in a genre that I can understand. It's in, so that for me gives, and then they're giving utility within the genre. So it's understandable. You're giving utility in the genre. I think you have something that, has legs immediately, and as long as you can execute, which I think a lot of people believe it can. I mean, look at that one dude just buying up all the silver and gold backgrounds. But certainly, you see the floor price rising. Keep an eye on that floor price. And I think, even just buying one off the floor for fun is kind of a great play right now, because, as there's only 8,000 of these. And then you have, if you do it soon, you get the potential of a drop. So you can get that drop. It's, ostensibly, you get a free character on top of that. You could unload if you really wanted to. Or if you want, but if you get that, you could have Baby Warriors of Aradena. Now we're talking money. But you have, such great utility already involved in this fairly young project, but it seems like that they are getting a grasp of, what's possible here. And so by just getting that one off the floor, to me, it's becoming apparent. Maybe just like grab like one enchanted item or something like that, because by way of saying you can train and sort of then play to earn, that gives you an ability to just take something off the floor and like grind with it, and potentially then do battle with it to make earnings. And so I think that there's some fun utility there that I'm not really seeing as immediate. I think Animatus has like their idea of a race game and sort of these other things, but here I'm just like, yeah, this is fantasy battle game, let's do it. So it's just going to be kind of up to the team and the community to build on it, and I think it seems like it has a strong community. Okay guys, thanks for liking, subscribing, hitting the bell notification. I do this live so that I can bring you guys things like this, like, hey, this is happening, you can get a drop if you're in now. If you're watching this, in 3 months, I'm sorry, you missed out on those drops, and the floor price is now, I'm not going to speculate, but ETH, and so much higher than 0.08, and so it's this is why I do it, and I appreciate you guys hanging in there, and please like, subscribe, and also throw a little comment in there and what you're up to. I always get excited about this is how I discover new things. It's Voltaire says, you read and you learn, and then you realize you know nothing, because it's just like it becomes such a so many different rabbit holes in this space. But you guys are definitely getting into the ones that are quality, and it's always interesting to be like, oh yeah, I'm also into that, or be on the Discords and be like, oh yeah, Halos, yeah. And so I got to do my thing on Halos. I never had time. Maybe next week. Thank you guys.